Hello, everyone. Virgo, stop, take a breath. Actually, take one because I need you grounded for what I'm about to say. I need you present, not spinning. I need you connected to reality, not lost in projection about future months. There's something you need to hear right now, not in April, not in some distant time frame, now. And it's urgent not because there's a deadline, not because something catastrophic will happen if you don't act immediately, but because you've been avoiding it. You've been putting it off. You've been telling yourself you'll deal with it later, and later it keeps not coming. And the thing keeps sitting there, taking up space, creating background noise, affecting your choices even though you're pretending it's not. Stay with me because this message isn't about what's going to happen to you in some future month. It's about what you're doing right now that's creating your future. About patterns you're running that are building toward outcomes you don't actually want. And if you keep running those patterns, if you keep avoiding what needs addressing, if you keep deferring the hard conversations or difficult choices, then yes, a few months from now, you're going to be dealing with consequences that could have been avoided if you'd faced this now. Can you feel what I'm pointing to? That thing you've been skirting around? Drop a comment if you know exactly what I'm talking about, because here's what I'm actually picking up on in your energy field. There's a situation in your life that you know needs to change, that you've known needs to change for a while now. But you've been in this weird holding pattern where you're aware it's not working, but you're not quite ready to do anything about it. Maybe it's a relationship that's run its course, but you keep maintaining it out of habit or guilt or fear of being alone. Maybe it's a job or career path that's slowly suffocating you, but you keep staying because it's secure or because you've invested so much time already or because you don't know what else to do. Maybe it's a living situation that's not serving you, but you keep tolerating because moving feels overwhelming or expensive or disruptive. Maybe it's a pattern in how you relate to yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you treat your body, how you manage your time and energy that you know is harmful, but you keep defaulting to because it's familiar. Whatever the specific content, you know what it is. And you've been knowing and you've been doing nothing about it except maybe thinking about it occasionally and feeling bad about not addressing it. Does this match what's actually happening? Let me know in the comments. Because here's what you need to understand about why this is urgent. It's not urgent because of some cosmic timeline. It's not urgent because April 2026 is some magical deadline. It's urgent because every day you don't address this, you're choosing it. You're reinforcing the pattern. You're deepening the groove. You're making it harder to change later. And there's a cost to that. A real cost that you're paying, whether you're acknowledging it or not. The cost of staying in dynamics that drain you. The cost of postponing alignment. The cost of living in the gap between who you are and who you're capable of being. And that cost, it accumulates. It compounds. It creates a debt that gets harder to pay the longer you wait. So the urgency isn't external, it's internal. It's your own system saying, this can't continue. Something has to shift. We can't keep living this way. Have you been feeling this internal pressure building? Comment below if you recognize this. Because let me tell you what happens if you keep avoiding this. The situation doesn't just stay the same, it deteriorates. Because stagnation isn't neutral. Stagnation is slow decay. The relationship that's not working gets worse. The resentment builds. the distance increases. The chance of it ever being healthy decreases. The job that's wrong for you becomes more entrenched. You get more locked in. Your skills atrophy. Your confidence erodes. Leaving becomes harder even as staying becomes more unbearable. The pattern you're running gets more automatic, more unconscious, more resistant to change because it's had more time to wire itself into your nervous system. And a few months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to look back and think, I knew back then. Why didn't I do something when it was easier, when I had more energy, when the cost was lower? And that regret, it's avoidable. By acting now, by facing this now, by dealing with what you know needs dealing with, does this feel true? Does this trajectory feel familiar? Let me know in the comments, because I want to talk about what's actually required from you right now. Not in April, not in some future time frame. Right now, today, this week. You need to get honest, brutally honest with yourself about what's actually happening, about what's actually working and what's not, about what you're actually okay with versus what you're just tolerating, because change feels hard. You need to stop the story you've been telling yourself about why you can't address this yet, about why the timing's not right, about why you need to wait for certain conditions before you can make a move. Because those stories, they're protection mechanisms. They're your fear dressed up as reason. They're how you stay stuck while convincing yourself you're being strategic. But you're not being strategic. You're being scared. And that's okay. That's human. But call it what it is. You need to make a choice. Even if it's not the final choice. Even if it's just the choice to start moving in a direction. Even if it's just the choice to have a conversation you've been avoiding, or to explore options you've been dismissing. Some choice that breaks the paralysis, that creates momentum, that demonstrates to yourself that you're capable of addressing hard things instead of just thinking about addressing them. Can you do that? Can you make one move this week toward addressing this? Drop a comment if you're willing to commit. Because here's what I'm sensing about what's blocking you. It's not that you don't know what needs to happen. You do know. Your clarity isn't the problem. The problem is that doing what you know needs doing feels overwhelming, feels like it's going to disrupt everything, feels like it might make things worse before they get better. And you're right, it might. Change is disruptive. Addressing what's been avoided creates temporary chaos. Things often do get messier before they get clearer. But here's what you need to ask yourself. Is temporary disruption worse than permanent stagnation? Is short-term discomfort worse than long-term decay? Is the chaos of change worse than the slow suffocation of staying stuck? Because those are your actual options. Not change versus comfort. Change versus different kind of discomfort. And when you frame it that way, when you get honest about what staying costs versus what changing costs, the choice becomes clearer, not easier, but clearer. Does this reframe help? Let me know in the comments. Because I want to address the specific month reference, April 2026, a few months from now. Why does that matter? Why does that time frame show up in readings like this? And here's the truth. It doesn't matter, not in the way you might think. It's not that April 2026 is some predetermined moment when everything shifts. It's not that the universe has circled that month on your cosmic calendar. What matters is if you keep doing what you're doing now, if you keep avoiding what needs addressing, if you keep running the same patterns, a few months from now, you're going to be dealing with the accumulated result of those choices. And it's probably going to create a crisis or a breaking point or a moment where you can't avoid this anymore. So the month isn't the point. The point is you can address this proactively now on your terms with some control over how it unfolds, or you can wait until circumstances force your hand, until the situation deteriorates to the point where you have no choice but to act, until change is imposed on you rather than chosen by you. Those are your options. Conscious choice now or forced consequence later. Which sounds better to you? Comment below and let me know, because here's what I really need you to hear. This message isn't about scaring you. It's not about creating urgency through fear. It's not about manipulating you into action through anxiety about future timelines. This message is about waking you up to what you already know, about breaking through the denial or avoidance or postponement that's keeping you stuck. You know something needs to change. You've known for a while and you've been waiting for what exactly? For it to feel easier? It's not going to feel easier. Hard things are hard regardless of timing. For you to feel more ready, you're as ready as you're going to be. Readiness comes from doing, not from waiting to feel ready for circumstances to be perfect. They're never going to be perfect. There's always going to be a reason to wait if you're looking for one. So what are you actually waiting for? Permission? You have it. From me, from yourself, from reality that's been trying to get your attention. A sign? This is it. This reading finding you right now. This message landing in this moment. This resonance you're feeling. Courage? You already have it. You've done hard things before. You can do this hard thing too. What you're waiting for, it's already here. The only thing missing is your decision to act on it. Can you make that decision? Can you stop waiting and start moving? Let me know in the comments, because here's what happens when you do address this. It's uncomfortable, yes. It's disruptive, definitely. It requires energy and courage and tolerance for temporary chaos, but it also creates relief. The relief of finally dealing with what's been hanging over you. The relief of moving instead of staying stuck. The relief of honoring what you know instead of betraying it. And that relief, it's immediate. Not the resolution, not the outcome, but the relief of being in action instead of in avoidance. And from that relief, from that movement, from that alignment between what you know and what you do, everything else starts to shift. Not magically, not effortlessly, but genuinely. Because when you stop tolerating what doesn't work, you create space for what does. When you stop investing in what's dying, you free up energy for what's trying to grow. When you stop lying to yourself about what's okay, you start building from truth. And building from truth, that's how you create a life that actually works, that actually fits, that actually serves who you're becoming instead of who you were. Isn't that worth some temporary discomfort? Drop a comment if you're ready for that, because ultimately, here's what this urgent message is really about. You're at a choice point. You've been at this choice point for a while, actually, and you keep choosing actively or passively to stay where you are, and that's your right. That's your choice to make. Nobody can force you to change if you're not ready, but I need you to own it. If you're going to stay stuck, if you're going to keep avoiding what needs addressing, if you're going to keep postponing the hard choices, own that. Acknowledge that's what you're doing. Stop pretending you're being strategic or waiting for the right time. You're scared and you're letting fear make your decisions. And that's human. That's understandable, but it's also optional. You can choose differently. You can face the fear and act anyway. You can do the hard thing even though it's hard. You've done it before. You can do it again. So here's my urgent message to you. Stop waiting. Stop avoiding. Stop telling yourself stories about why later is better than now. Address what needs addressing. Face what needs facing. Choose what needs choosing. Not perfectly, not with complete certainty, not without fear or doubt or discomfort, but consciously, intentionally, from your knowing instead of from your avoidance. Do it now, this week, before you have more time to talk yourself out of it because you already know what it is. You've already been knowing. The only question is, are you going to keep knowing without acting? Or are you finally going to honor what you know by doing something about it? That's your choice. That's always been your choice. And whatever you choose, own it fully. But choose. Stop being in limbo. Stop living in the gap. Choose. And deal with the consequences of choosing. Because that's the only way forward. That's the only way out of stuck. Not through perfect timing, through imperfect action. Now, not April, now. I don't sell futures. I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic. Stay in the now.